Oh geez, I like to think you guys hang on my every word. You've forgotten already? What we did yesterday, we were writing lines. And you remember that we were using, at the very end of class, we were using what's called the point slope form of a line. Remember that? And what that looks like is this. And M stands for slope. And the X1, Y1 is one of your points. Okay? So to do this, you have to pick a point. All right, which point you want to use? It makes no difference. Just pick one. Which one do you want to use?
3, 3.
3, 3. So that means this is my X1, this is my Y1. If I use this point, then that's my X1 and that's my Y1. Got it? What's the first thing I need to do then if I'm going to write the equation of this line? I need to find the slope. So what is the slope? Well, slope is what? You tell me.
Changing y over changing x.
Changing y over changing x. So, look at your y's. Negative 5 minus 3. 5 minus 3. Y minus y, x minus x. Changing y over changing x. Rise over run. So, what's my numerator? Negative 5 minus 3 is? Negative 8. And 5 minus 3 is 2. So my slope is negative 4. We have already picked our point. So using my point slope form, it's going to be y minus 3, that's that 3 right there, equals negative 4, x minus 3. And when the directions say point slope, you are done. That's it. You can stop right there. If you use the other point, is that going to look a little bit different? Of course it is, because you're using 5s instead of 3s, but the line will be the same thing. It works out to be the same thing. So it doesn't matter which point you use. Now, the next problem looks exactly the same. I have 2 points, but the directions have changed. Now my answer needs to be in slope-intercept form. What does that look like? That is not this. This is point slope. What does slope-intercept look like? It's the one y'all know. Y equals mx plus b. That's slope-intercept. Now, regardless of how you do the problem, the first thing you have to do always is find the slope. Don't I need the slope no matter what? I have an m. So I'm going to find the slope of the line. So here we go, just like we did before. M equals 1 minus 5, 4 minus 0. Did you get negative 1? Perfect. Now, at this point, you can do lots of different things. I am a point sloper. I'm going to point slope every line I ever see. So I'm going to go ahead and do what I did a minute ago. I'm going to pick this point right here because it's got a 0, and zeros are easy. And I'm going to do y minus 5 equals negative 1, x minus 0. But wait a minute, Mrs. Ford, that's not slope-intercept. You are right, but I'm not done. This is how I write my equations the same way all the time. But then, because it has this direction in it, I have to change this equation to look like this. That's easy. I can do my distributive property and add the 5. Now it is in slope-intercept form. Now, some of you may like to use this form from the beginning, plug in an x and a y, and find your b, and that's okay. I'm not going to do it that way Because for me, it's easier to do every problem the same way and then I don't get confused. But as long as you're coming up with this answer, you're all good. These two problems are exactly the same. The difference is that form that you leave your answer in. Here you have to get y by itself. All right, you ready to try one? Why don't you try the second one there on your own? Do it however you want, whatever works for you, but make sure your answer looks like this. On your own. We'll check it with mine. Lewis, what'd you come up with?
I got y equals 1x plus 1.
Beautiful. That's exactly what I got. Now, Lewis put a 1 here because the slope was 1, and that's fine. It's not necessary, but it's perfectly okay to put that in if you want to. Now, I want to hear from somebody who didn't get that or who is a little confused about how that all works. So, did everybody get 1 for the slope? Okay, that's perfect. Okay, now I picked this point to use. Could have picked the other one, wouldn't make any difference. I picked that one and ultimately ended up with that equation. Are we okay with that? You have to do that on our next quiz, probably. That would be my guess. Okay. Number 5. We're still writing the equation of the line. Notice it doesn't tell you how to leave your answer, so that means it's up to you. You can leave it however you're comfortable leaving it. But it has to contain the point -2, 3, and it has to be parallel to this line. Does everybody recognize that's a line, y equals mx plus b? That's a line out there somewhere. And you want to draw another line through that point that's parallel to this one. Hey, what do you know about parallel? Does anything pop into your head about parallel? The slopes are the same. So what is the slope of this line you've been given? 3. So you're going to use 3 as your slope for this new line, right? Now you don't have a choice. This is your x1, y1 right here. That's your point. That's the only one you have. So y minus 3, that's that 3, equals 3, that's this 3 right here. X plus 2, x minus -2. So y minus my y equals my slope, which I know has to be 3 because it's parallel. X, this is actually minus a -2. And if I'm comfortable, I'm going to leave it in point slope. I'm good. This is it. That's my point slope form. I can stop right there. If I am expected to put it in, and there's no directions here, so either one is fine. I'm just saying if I'm expected to put it into slope-intercept form, then it would be this. It's exactly the same line, just a different form. So this would be okay as an answer, and this would be okay as an answer.
If there's a question like this on the quiz, and it doesn't specify which
You
one
can
is,
answer however you want.
do we have to label which one
Nope.
it is? Okay.
Unless it helps you, I mean, I don't need you to label it. Okay, any question about that? All right, one more. This one is perpendicular, so the same point, negative 2, 3, but we need to be perpendicular, I'm gonna use the symbol, to 2x minus 4y equals 1. All right, tell me what you know about that.
Negative slope.
The slope is going to be, it's going to change signs, it's going to be the opposite, and also the reciprocal. So perpendicular slopes are opposite reciprocals. So that means you change the sign and you flip it over. You have to do both things. Okay? Now, before I can do that though, I have to know the slope, I have to know what this slope is. Can you look at it and tell? This one, you looked at it and told me the slope was 3. Can I do that with this one? No, because if you want to see the slope, don't we have to rewrite our equation like this? Because that number right there is going to be the slope. So let's take this equation and see if we can get y by itself. So I guess we'll subtract 2x. So negative 4y equals negative 2x plus 1. I'm moving my 2x over here. Now I'm going to divide by negative 4. So y equals, okay, negative over negative, that'll be positive 1/2 x minus 1/4. Okay, that's not hard, guys. Just do it carefully. In order to figure out the slope of this line, I have to get y by itself. So I move my 2x and divide by negative 4. So what is the slope of this line? 1/2. Now remember, if I were doing parallel, I would actually use 1/2. But I'm not doing parallel, I'm doing perpendicular. So what slope do I need for the perpendicular line? Negative 2. So you're going to turn it over, make it 2, and then change the sign. So it's going to be negative 2. This is your point. You don't have a choice this time. You only have 1 point. So y minus 3 equals negative 2x plus 2. Again, this is minus minus. Or so either one of these is fine because there are no directions. This would be the point slope answer, and this would be the slope intercept answer. Okay, all that's one problem. There's a lot going on there. Anybody have a question? Stuck? Confused? Asleep? At least I'll say this about you guys. You are all here and you are all on time, and that is awesome. That is absolutely wonderful. Thank you. I hope you can keep that up. Okay, that's it for P4. Let's move on to P5. Okay, let's get our calculators out. We're going to do a little calculator work right now. so who does not have a graphic calculator with them today? Okay, this is not good, this is not good at all. So here's how this works. We've been in school for a week, you know what the expectation is. So what we're gonna do is, you're gonna have to rent one from me. And it's 50 cents a day. Actually, 50 cents a period. You don't have to pay me right now, but your name goes on the board, so your debt is paid, and every time it's 50 cents. So, if you don't wanna rack this up every time, you need to get your graphic calculator. Well, how about if I just sit here and not do it? No, that doesn't work, because unless you're pressing the buttons, give me your name. Unless you are pressing the buttons, you don't learn how to do it. Okay? So we're all gonna learn how to press the buttons.
Ask her. The videos on? And then she was like, the videos right now.
Okay, I heard somebody say, I have one, I just didn't think I needed it. Yes, you need it every day. We need to have our graphic calculator every day.
One of the videos on.
All right, everybody else have one?
I don't have one.
Look at her.
Boy. I'm gonna be able to buy a new jumper with all this. All right, everybody got one now? Because we're all pressing buttons. Okay. You don't have,
No, I have
yeah, you don't have one?
I have it in my car.
Okay, car doesn't count, give me your lanyard. Does our calculator do us any good when it's in the car? How many lanyards, or how many IDs do you have? Who is Dane Rogers, and why do you have his ID?
Wait, you should write her name.
Okay.
For the 50 cents.
All right, so we're gonna solve graphically with the calculator. So, first thing I want everybody to do is, turn it on, obviously, and then if you go to the zoom button, and that's where my finger is right now, it's in the top row of buttons, it says zoom. Everybody see it? Okay, and choose option 6. Then no matter, you know, who knows who's used those calculators last? Who knows how the window has been set up, the graphing window? When you hit zoom 6, it automatically gives you a window that's called standard. So in other words, it's a window that's going from -10 to 10 and -10 to 10. So it isn't that you can't graph in other windows. Was that mine?
Yeah, it's one.
Okay, just let's be careful. It isn't that you can't graph in any other window. It's just that now we're all gonna see the same picture because we're all set up the same way. Whenever I graph, no matter what I'm graphing, we're gonna graph some funky things. I always start with zoom 6, I always start with the standard window, and then modify it if I need to. And we'll look at some problems where we need to modify it. Okay, so next, everybody's got the same window. So now next I want you to go right here where it says y equals. It's the very first button, what?
So when I do my Zoom 6, but it will pop up for a second. You do like an error message.
Alright. Alright, so everybody's gone to y equals? Press y equals. Now, if you have, like I already have something in there because I was graphing yesterday. If you have something in there, just hit clear and it will go away. Alright, if you have more than one thing, clear them all out. So if you have a y1 in there, hit clear. Go down to y2, hit clear. Clear them all out. That's what I just had to do with Jared. Get rid of all of that, anything that's in there from before. Now, once you get that all cleared out, we're going to type in this equation, okay? Now, pay attention. You may already know how to do this, and that's great, but if you don't, please pay attention. I'm going to type 2, just regular old 2. Now, my x's, my variables, come from my variable button, which is right here. That button has an x and a t and a theta and whatever else on it. That is called your variable button. When you press it, it should say X. Does anybody not say X when you press that? Okay. Then hit squared. Got your squared button right over here where I'm pointing. Got a squared button. Okay. And then +5. And then your X again. And then -3. So you typed in the equation that you're graphing, right? Now, hit graph. You should have gotten a parabola. Did you get a parabola? When we are solving, my parabola looks something like this. That's a rough sketch, bear with me. Does yours look something like that? When I am solving, the points I am looking for are these right here. These are called the zeros. This is where the equation equals 0. Okay? Now, how do you find this?
I have a question.
I see. Now it works. Oh, I have to do it in there. And y.
You have to do it in y equals. You have to type in y equals. What did you say? Josh, what?
Once you type that in, how do you go back to the graph, like without, like?
Just hit graph. And your graph should have
Oh,
come
yeah.
up. Graphically. So, guys, when you put an equation, if you want to graph something, the only way to graph something is to put it in y equals. Alright, you gotta put it in y equals. And then when you hit graph, it's gonna graph whatever you put into y equals. Okay, whatever you put in is gonna get graphed when you hit graph. It won't graph anything unless it's in y equals. Okay? Okay, now how do we find, let's find this one first. We can only find one at a time. How do we find this one? Well, calculator does it for you. Press second, that's your, for me it's blue, I'm not sure what color it is for you. Second trace. That's actually called your calc menu. If you look above the trace button, see how it says calc? Anything in blue is your second. So second trace. Okay, did it pull up some options? We are looking for this point, which is called a 0. It's where the equation equals 0. It's called a 0. So click down to number 2 and hit enter. You get your graph back, and somewhere on the graph you see a cursor flashing. Okay, now listen carefully. We're gonna press buttons in a minute. I want you to listen carefully. It's real easy. You're gonna use your left and right arrow buttons, and you're gonna move that cursor till it is, think about an imaginary line drawn down through here. Your cursor has to be to the left. See how the screen says left bound? You have to move your cursor so it's to the left of this point. So move your cursor till it's over here somewhere. There is no exact point. Just get it over here somewhere. And press enter. So use your arrow button, move the cursor till it's up here somewhere, and press enter. If you have an older calculator like I do, it's gonna put a symbol like this at the top. If you have a new one, it's actually gonna draw a line in for you. Doesn't matter. You're over to the left. Okay, now what does the screen say now? Right bound? So guess what you're gonna do? You're gonna use your arrow button and you're gonna move that cursor till it's over here somewhere. Now guys, don't go all the way over because then it gets confused. You need to surround this point right here. So we went to the left of that point, now we're gonna go to the right of that point. So set your cursor somewhere over here. Anywhere over there. Press enter. Now, it puts another little arrow thing up there, or it puts in another line, depending on what kind of calculator you have. Now, what's the screen say? It's prompting you. What does it say?
Yes.
Okay, move that cursor so it's close to your point. What's your guess? Where do you think that is? Well, I think it's about right there. So I'm going to move my cursor over and press enter. And now on the screen, it will tell you the answer. It says that point is -3, 0, -3, y is 0.
Mine says y equals 1e -12.
Okay, so that happens sometimes because the calculators round things off. So 1e to the what, negative what?
-12.
Okay, that is scientific notation. That means 1 times 10 to the -12th. What does 1 times 10 to the -12th look like? Point oh, 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 that's the same as 0. Okay, I mean, obviously it's not exactly 0, but it's so many decimal places, we're gonna think of it as 0. So anytime, and this will happen, probably to all of you at some point, anytime that happens, think of it as 0. That's a 0. That's a really, really, really tiny number. So just think of it as 0. But for our problem, it isn't even that part that matters. We're looking for x values. Aren't we solving for x? So one of our answers is -3. All right, we're half done because now we gotta find this one, right? So let's review those steps again. We start over. So second calc, second trace. So second trace, trace is in the top row. Everybody find it? Okay, which option do we want? There's a whole bunch of options there. We want 0. And there's our cursor again. And now it's saying left bound. Now remember, you are surrounding this point now. So for left bound, don't we want our cursor over here somewhere? So just move it till it's over there somewhere. Anywhere in here is okay. Don't get it away from me. I mean, get it away from here. That will confuse the calculator. Get it away from here. Get it over here somewhere on the left side. Press enter. Now it wants to know the right bound. So where are you going to move it now? Where are you going to move it? Here? Use your arrow buttons. Move it over there. Okay, watch the screen. It tells you. What does it want you to do now? Yes, where do you think it's at? Well, I think it's like right there. So I'm going to move my cursor there. It doesn't have to be right on. Just get close. Press enter. And where is that 0? What is that point? What did it say? 0.5, 0. Okay, well, we don't have time. We're gonna come back. We're gonna do another one right now. So we're gonna start fresh. You're gonna pay real close attention. You're gonna press my buttons, and you're gonna get this. All right, here we go. Here we go. That equation doesn't look quite right. What do you think I should do with my second equation?
Move around.
Let's move the 15 over. So now it looks just like this one did. Okay, so that's step one. Let's get that equation set equal to 0. Okay, now, nobody's pressing unless you're confident you know what you're doing, because I'm not backing up, so stay with me. Start out by pressing y equals. Now, our last equation is in there, so I'm gonna hit clear, and now it's gone. And now I will type in my new equation. So x is right here where my finger is. This is where you always get your x from. I know that there are other places to get an x on the calculator, but it ain't gonna work. Use this one right here. So x squared, you got a squared button right here. It says x squared, just press it and it'll put your squared on. Minus, make sure you're using the minus sign. Okay, use the minus sign. 8, and then x is right back, same place you got the last x. This is where we always get our x. And then plus 15. So it should look just like this, only it doesn't have this part on it. Now hit graph. And you should have gotten a parabola that looks like this time. Okay, now before we do this, I want everybody to pay attention. You're gonna find this point and this point. Those are gonna be the two answers. Where you cross the x-axis, those are your answers to your equation. When you solve graphically, those are the points you're looking for every time. They're called the zeros. These two are kind of close together, so you're gonna have to be careful. When you pick a point, I'll do this one first. I always do this one first. I'll do this one first. When I do my left bound and right bound, I'm gonna have to be over here somewhere and down here somewhere. You don't have a lot of room in there, but it doesn't matter. Just get into this section and set your bound. Then move it over, only gonna be a click or two probably, and you're gonna take your guess, all right? So here we go. Second trace. This is my calc menu. Second trace. Pick option 2, which is 0. And, do you see your cursor? Left bound, or I mean, no, left arrow, or right arrow, a little bit. Keep going, did it come into view?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can always tell where your cursor is because the coordinates are on the graph. So when I first hit second calc 0, my cursor was up at 0:15. My cursor was up here. I knew that because it says 0:15. So I thought, well, I need to move it. So I arrowed over to the right, and now I see it, and I need to set it here, somewhere over here. So have your cursor flashing here, somewhere over here, and press enter. Now, arrow over and have your cursor down here. In that little loop area somewhere, have your cursor down there. There's not a lot of room, don't panic, you don't need a lot of room. Just get it down there and press enter. Then click it over a couple of times and take a guess. And my calculator says that's the 0.30. Is that what yours said? Alright, now, everybody try the next one. And I'm going to come around and help those of you that are stuck. Now listen, when you do this point, where are you going to set your left bound? Down here somewhere, right? Down in this little loopy area, that's where your left bound is. Where are you going to set your right bound? Over here somewhere? and then you're gonna guess and hopefully get the answer. So, let me come on, you guys, did you guys get 3-0 on that last one? Yes. You guys got 3-0? You get 3? You get 3? 3? Lewis, 3? Girls, you both get 3?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're working on it now?
Mhm.
Okay, okay,
It was like added, but now it's like.
okay, so you have a Casio, this is problematic, cause no one knows how to use that. You're gonna have to figure it out, cause you are gonna have to do this. I mean, it's gonna be a grade, so you have to figure it out. You get 3-0? Did you get 3-0?
Yeah, 3-0 and 5-0.
Okay, I haven't done the second one yet. She said she did the second one already and she got 5-0.
I don't know that's.
Well, we're taking a vote. Wyatt agrees.
I got 5-0.
I got 5-0.
Everybody's getting 5-0, including me. So what are the answers to the question? 3 and 5. So your job is to get those answers. All right, listen kids, the answers are not always nice, round, even numbers. For our first time at this, I rigged problems that would have nice answers. If I randomly made something up, the answer would come out to be some crazy decimal, like 2.1137, but it doesn't matter. No matter how crazy it is, the calculator's gonna tell you what it is. All right, let's do one more. Hopefully we have time to get this one done. We're getting pretty good at this. So what's the first thing we need to do here, do you think, with this equation?
Put it in the right.
We gotta put it in the right form. So maybe we'll distribute the x and subtract the 20. Does that make sense to everybody? So I did my distributive and moved my 20 over. Alright, so now I'm going to y equals, and I'm gonna hit clear, and I'm gonna type in that equation. Remember, if you want your calculator to graph something, you gotta put in y equals, you gotta tell it. Y equals, that's what I want you to graph. Okay, graph. Did you get another, well, I don't know, this is another parabola, but it looks kind of weird. Did yours come down like this and go off the screen and then come up like this?
Yeah.
Okay, now, what are we looking for? When it says solve, what are we looking for? Where it crosses here. Can I see those 2 points?
Yeah.
Do I care that I can't see the rest of the graph? Not in this problem, I don't. Now, there will be problems where it will matter, like if I want to find the minimum, then I care. But not now, this is fine. This is good. Find them, you got 3 minutes. Second calc 0. Be patient. Sometimes you gotta arrow a while. In order to find that cursor, because it's traveling down a long ways on that picture.
Because you have to just keep the addition. Because it goes down really far. So that was 1.2. So we were struggling. So I have that. I just like don't know what one is. Like when do I show this center? Okay, so you click the first one, right? And you have that. Now you go to the right. So you got 0. You never roll up there. You always do side to side. So right here. Yeah. Oh, I thought your name was concerned. And that. No, go down again. Because you want to make sure you're all the way to your
So
right.
left down.
You're gonna.
So if you're finding backwards, you gotta arrow or if it's on the left side.
Yeah, that's about the goal. So it's negative 5 zeros.
So there's the one you just found.
And then the other one. Click second. Trace again.
That's because when you do Okay, guys, that's it for today. Go ahead and get your phones.